Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the second in a series. Ordinarily, yes, the first one was when the forum was held with the referee of this election, the forthcoming election, the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood.
I moved on to the issue of education, which is too dear to my mind because of my belief in education is so important in all our human endeavor. All these things we are talking about, we will not be able to achieve them without education. So basically, education, in fact, should be number one. And all of us would not have been in this hall if we were not educated, would we? So you can see the imperative of education in our lifetime. So after I came up with these 5 broad policy options, I then looked around and said, okay, let me see if I can assemble a team of experts on one of each of these thematic subjects. And then I constituted what I call a policy group and said, okay, you can go into details. How do we achieve our objectives? I had a number of sessions with the policy team, as I normally want to do. I want to speak up my mind. I want to tell them what I'm looking forward to, and so because they are experts, it's doable, this is not doable, and so on and so forth. And eventually we came up with a document which is titled My Covenant with Nigerians. And it's available, or must have been available, to all of you, and as well as members of the Guild. I have the head of my media team here, Paul Ibe. He can give you as many copies as you may need. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the Guild, these are my opening remarks, and then I will be glad to take a few questions, because I am told this is not an interview per se, in bracket, but rather a short interactive session on my way to the airport. So I hope we can do justice to our meeting this morning. I really thank you very, very much indeed for finding time to come. I know many of you live in various parts of Lagos. I have lived in Lagos since 1969, married in Lagos. I was here when all the roads and the bridges, the flyovers were built in my presence. There is no part of Lagos I have not lived. First of all, Victoria Island, Ikoyi, Aguda, Ikorodu Road, Antoni Village. So, I saw Lagos being built from the old Carter Bridge when I tell people that we used to trek from Victoria Island to number 1 Brickfield Road, Ebute Meta, on foot to attend to classes of our training and then go back on foot. So I must let you understand I'm a Lagosian. I spent the greater part of my career so I know the South perhaps as much as I know the North. I consider myself not only a true Nigerian, but a very true Nigerian in the real sense of the word. So let me thank you again for giving me this opportunity to appear before you and to have a brief and short interactive sessions with you. So I thank you very much for your time.
My question is on restructuring, and I would like His Excellency to be very specific. You have been drumming restructuring as one of the things that you're going to do in this country. It's a complex country. Your restructuring, is it according to states? Are you going to allow states or regions to control their resources? Is it going to be in the form of the old republic where the regions control resources and pay royalty to the center? I would like you to be very specific on this.
Number 1, restructuring. What type? Are we going to have resource control? Very, very typical of me, as I said. I had assembled a team of constitutional lawyers from each of the geopolitical zones. I told them, give me a proposal of legislation which I can immediately put before the National Assembly on day 1 after taking office. I already have a copy of the draft legislation, but I cannot share it with you. Paul has a copy. I want you to know and realize that amending the Constitution requires the executive, the National Assembly, and the state assemblies. So we all have to agree on what type of restructuring. Of course, when we say devolution of powers, obviously devolution of powers must go hand in hand with also a certain measure of resource control. So it is just logical for you, if your interest is only resource control, Mr. Whoever asked the question, for sure you will have a measure of resource control depending on, of course, the powers that will be devolved to your either state or local government. Of course, is the same with revenue sharing formula. So this is the last question. I want to really thank you very much indeed for this opportunity and for this interactive session. God bless you all.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies. My name is Azu Aronze, and I write for Yes It's very simple, His Excellency. I want to know, what are you doing to reconcile these lingering issues with the PDP governors? Because I do not think it will do you good house. Thank you very much.
Then I now move to the issue of reconciliation within PDP. I can assure you that talks are going on, and I believe we are going to reconcile. It's a family issue, and we are regarding it as such. We are talking to ourselves, and I believe we will resolve our family disputes.
Nigeria, as a member of United Nations, has signed and ratified some international conventions, that guarantees 35% affirmative action for women. Your Excellency, how do you intend to curb women into your administration? Thank you very much.
How about more women in our administration? We did that between 1999 and 2007. Again, there is the issue of memory, and then there is the issue of age. Most of our population today, 70% are young men and women. And then, regrettably, our schools no longer teach the history of this country. So unless you do an extensive research, which our young men and women are not, at the moment, not too good in, you will not recognize that our government had the highest, the PDP government has the highest number of women in our government. And this we promise, and I pledge to continue with that, 30%.
Your Excellency, good morning, sir. I remember in 2019, when we met you, sir. 2019, before the general election, you said something about security, about American University in Yola, that you got a retired general from US who fought in Afghanistan or Iraq, and they gave you a blueprint to secure the place. Now, we know many of these guys in Nigeria are terrorists, and they are from outside the country. How do you want to secure this country from 2023? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And then the next question was, how do I secure the country? We faced the same problem when we came in 1999. More boots on the ground, more equipment, more training. Even by the time you double the strength of the Nigeria police force, maybe you will be talking about 700,000 or so. First of all, by putting more boots on the ground, you would have reduced unemployment. So if you extend that, operation to the armed forces, so by the time you finish doing that, you'll find that you would have taken out more than 1 million people out of the unemployment market. And then, of course, there is the issue of devolution of powers and the issue of state police. That I will discuss when I come to the issue of restructuring.
My name is Atiku Abubakar, former editor-in-chief of the News Agency of Nigeria. You are known as the unifier. But the way things stand right now, Nigerians are not that united. I'd like to know what plans you have to ensure that Nigerians see themselves as one, and in such a manner that whenever they introduce themselves, they don't talk about religion, they don't talk about their regions. Instead, they identify themselves as Nigerians. And then there's a particularly worrisome issue. The North, whenever they speak, it's what is the need for the North? I'd rather we spoke about Nigeria, what is the need for Nigerians, and not just the North or any region for that matter. Thank you.
What plans to unify Nigeria? I have answered that question before. I try to remind our audience, of course, maybe perhaps 60% of our voters today were just being born when we first set up the first democratic government in 1999. In 1999, all the two major political parties had southern candidates. This is because when we rose from the Constitutional Conference of 1994, we all agreed that our next president must come from the South, irrespective of whichever party you belong to. And we considered the presidency to the South. And therefore, we had two presidents who came from the South, Olusegun Obasanjo and Chief Olufalaye. After the country was so divided between the North and South, we said, look, we are going to do a government of national unity. Even though PDP won overwhelmingly, we brought in UPN ministers, ANPP ministers, and also PDP, AD rather, ministers. So with that move, the country immediately became one that provided us the peace and stability we needed to embark on a number of reforms to make sure we get the people of this country the good governance they require. So this is what I intend to do. I have said it. PDP will form a government of national unity. We will bring other members of the party opposition. And then, of course, we move on from there. So this is one only ways to begin to move. Today, we have 17 heads of the various security agencies. All of them came from the North. I won't do that. It's madness. I will make sure that every geopolitical zone is represented in those security outfits. This is also another way you can unify the country and give every part of this country a sense of belonging.
It's also very well known to you. On this note, once again, we thank you very much, and we pray that God Almighty shall continue to guide us and guide our country, and may He grant us victory at the end of it all. Thank you.